We're back. Okay, Essie, one more time. Incomplete dominance is the snapdragon flower. Big R is the red, little r is the white. When you have heterozygous, the flower is actually pink because you have incomplete dominance where they are not dominant over each other. You get a blending of the traits.
Third time's the charm.
Okay. Yay. All right. Now, the next one that we're going to talk about is epistasis. Anybody remember what that was?
My brain kind of
Epistasis.
Sounds like an ad.
Okay. So you want to go ahead and repeat?
One set of alleles basically affects the other set of alleles.
Yes, so it decides whether it's going to turn on the other set of alleles. And so the example that the book gave you was the fur color in mice, okay? And so you've got black and brown mice, okay? And black is dominant over brown.
Yes.
But there's another set of alleles, and one is color and one is no color, okay? That affects this. And so you have to have either this or this to turn on the color. If you have two little C's, the mouse is going to be white, even if it's supposed to be black or brown according to this. Okay, and that's epistasis, where one set of genes turns on another set of genes. Okay, last thing we're going to talk about is blood types. Okay, and then a few genetic diseases. Does anybody know who knows their blood type?
I do not.
I
It's probably in some paperwork because I got my blood drawn, but
I'm almost universal.
my type's an O.
I am O negative.
I have no idea. My type is U.
Okay, so we have multiple types of blood types. Okay, so we've got A, we've got B, what else?
O.
A, B,
And
O. And
O.
you're O.
Oh,
no.
Okay.
Okay, so who knows what's dominant over what?
The
A
A.
and B are co-dominants.
A and B are always dominant over O, and I think that A and B are co-dominant.
Yes.
Okay.
So A and B are always dominant over O, and A and B are co-dominant together. Okay. So we're going to do this little chart with our different blood types. Okay. And
Yes.
talk about this for a second. My head hurts. Anna, are you the only one that knows your blood type? Does anybody else know their blood type? Mine's
I'll show
A.
Because I
You don't know.
Okay, so if you have a blood type, okay, which is going to be dominant over O, you're going to have an A antigen, okay, that's going to identify it as A. If you have a blood type, you're going to make antibodies against what? So you're going to be fighting against what?
B.
You're going, yes, so these are your antibodies you're going to make. You're going to make B antibodies.
Which is why you can't have.
Which is why if you have A blood, you can't take B blood.
Which one's the most regular type blood?
We'll talk about it in a minute, okay? So you're going to be making B antibodies, and so if you have A blood, you can donate to who?
You said A blood? No, it'd be A.
Oh yeah, you can donate.
A can donate to
Yeah,
A.
because B would attack.
You can donate to two types.
Oh, A and O.
Yeah.
And
No,
A
A
and
and AB.
A and A, B. And you can receive from
A
A
and AB. No.
No.
Oh. And
and O. Yes. Okay. All right. If you have B type blood, you have the B antigen, and you make what kind of antibodies?
B.
A.
Oh, A.
You're going to make A antibodies, and you can donate to who?
B and AB.
And you can receive from who?
B and O.
B and O. Okay. If you have AB blood, you have A and B antigens. You don't make any antibodies.
Oh, that's nice.
Okay, so you're not gonna attack any kind of blood, okay? And you can receive, you can donate to who?
A and B and AB.
You can donate to AB, okay?
To itself.
Okay, you can donate to AB. You can't donate to,
I can't see this. Can I just? Thank you.
sorry Nancy, okay? And if you need to move, if you need to like move your chair over, whatever, I know you're in a bad spot. Okay. So yes, so AB can only donate to AB, okay? These guys cannot receive AB, all right? And AB can receive from who?
AB.
A, B, A, B, and O.
Good. AB, A, B, and O. They can receive from each other. Okay. O does not have an antigen, okay? And O makes antibodies against
Everything.
Because we're negative.
A and B, okay, not O. And who can O donate to?
Anything.
Anyone. Everyone.
A, B, A, B, and O. And who can O receive from?
Everyone.
No one.
Oh.
No one.
No one.
O.
Oh.
They can
Oh,
only,
No.
they can only receive from an O.
And O is pretty rare, right?
O
is the rarest
No.
one, right?
It's the rarest.
I'm pretty sure it's rare.
I've heard
The
like that's
lighting.
what I was. I've heard
There we
that
go.
like I thought I heard O was the rarest blood type.
It
What's
was-
the B?
O,
I think
O
it's
negative.
O negative is the universal donor, so, yes, but we're gonna talk about the negative and positive in just a second. Okay, so then we also have the whole RH factor with the blood, okay?
This part confused.
And that is you have a positive or negative antigen on your blood. 85% of the people are positive. So Anna, you really are to be O negative. That's unusual, okay?
Okay, you're
Okay. A positive can receive negative blood, okay? But a negative can't receive positive blood, okay? So Anna can basically donate to anybody, but she can only receive from an O negative, which is actually a good reason for her to donate blood, because she is a universal donor and she can only get blood from people like her. So we need people like her to donate blood. Yes. Okay.
I'll be
Okay. So, all right. So with the negative and positive, when is that an issue? Because most of the population is positive. It would be an issue for Anna because she's negative. She cannot receive positive blood because that positive blood would go in there, produce antibodies against her negative antigen, and attack her blood, bursting those blood cells open. So she would end up with like low iron and high bilirubin, and there would be some treatments that she would have to undergo.
low iron.
Did you say that A positive can receive from A positive, or is it just A negative?
Positive can receive from positive or negative.
Okay.
A negative can only receive
Okay.
from a negative.
Thank you.
Okay? All right. And you do not, as far as all these details go that I'm telling you, you have to kind of understand the gist of this. Now, Nancy, you do need to understand it a little bit better, okay? Because there is a discussion question on the honors test about it. But this is way more detail than what you don't have to memorize. Don't spend time memorizing this chart, okay? So what I have in Quizlet about the blood types should be enough. And the question for Nancy is more of a general question, okay? All right, so that is that. That's why if you are pregnant, Anna, if you are pregnant, anybody who's negative, is pregnant and has a baby with a positive blood, okay? If you got the positive blood from the baby, okay, or if it was the reverse, where the baby was negative and the mom was positive, so we call that, they check your RH, they're gonna check the baby's blood and check your blood. So if there is a discrepancy there are some shots that they have to give to make sure that antibodies aren't made to protect the mom and the baby. So that, but because 85% of the population is positive, it's not a huge concern. Okay, so we're gonna talk for just a minute, about 5 minutes, about genetic abnormalities, and then we're gonna go ahead and do our activities. Okay, is everybody good on this?
Yes.
Everybody good on this? Okay. So, we've got some different ways that we can have genetic abnormalities. Anybody remember any of the ways that there could be some kind of genetic problem, disability, disorder?
Like, there are too many, like, X chromosomes or something?
So there could have been a mistake in that first section of meiosis where you were separating the pairs, and then you end up with an extra chromosome. Somebody's on fire today. Anna McBride. Good for you. Okay. So it was those Quizlets. Okay. So yes, they would end up with an extra chromosome. So that is what trisomy 21. Okay, there was a mistake in meiosis 1 with the 21st pair. They didn't separate properly, and so you have 3. Instead of 2 at the 21st pair, you have 3 chromosomes, and that's what Down syndrome trisomy 21 is, okay? All right, so that is one way, okay? Or you can have a chromosome that breaks during mitosis and meiosis, so you could have the missing part of a chromosome, so it could be an extra chromosome, it could be a breakage, and all of that are mistakes and issues happening during mitosis and meiosis. Ruby, what else?
Autosomal inheritance, which is when it's not on the sex chromosome, and basically if you're, like, you could be dominant, and then if your child is recessive, then they'll have it, but you won't, I think. Is that right?
Right, okay, so autosomal means it's not on the sex chromosome. So you can have autosomal genetic disorders, or you can have the sex-linked genetic disorders. If it's sex-linked, it's going to be on the sex chromosome. Okay, so with the sex-linked, typically, because they're carried on the X chromosome, the disorder is going to be more common in a male, okay? The autosomal traits, if it is, usually they're going to be, most disorders are going to be recessive. Okay, so you would have to have, you would have to have 2 of the recessive alleles to get it. So somebody, if both of your parents were carriers and didn't even know that they had the gene for it, okay, there's a 25% chance that one of their kids could be heterozygous recessive and actually have the disorder. Yes. So some people, if they're concerned, they do genetic testing. You know, a lot of people are carriers for things. They might carry the recessive gene and they don't even know it.
I don't know if this is, it might be, if it's exactly like this topic, but when Mom was carrying me, the doctors were saying that I was going to be, like, have a lot of problems with me. I was going to basically, like, have Down syndrome and everything, but when I came out, I was, I'm fine
Well,
now. So
same.
how does
That
that
happened to me.
change if,
So, because they obviously, with that, they didn't, so sometimes if they tell a mom that, they'll go in and take, like a sample of the baby's blood and do actual genetic testing on the baby. But which is called an amniocentesis, but a lot of people don't want to do that because it can make you go into premature labor. But sometimes when doctors see an ultrasound, they might see like something's not growing at the rate, or there might be some things that they see that end up not even being an issue later. And so
do you think it's like I don't know if that's necessarily a genetic thing or
I think it's a mistake. Like, you know, doctors aren't perfect, it's a mistake, and that it's really, you know, it's which is a good reason to always just make the, some people would say, oh my goodness, my baby's not gonna be perfect, I'm gonna abort this baby, which is, why we don't do that. I mean, number one, because, God is the creator of all life, but number two, the doctors could be completely wrong and all life is valuable, even life where there's a disability or a problem. So sometimes, yes, sometimes they make mistakes, but I don't think they probably did genetic testing on you, because if they had, they would have known that you didn't have Down syndrome, because they would have been able to look at that genetically. Okay, so the other time where you can have a genetic disorder, does anybody remember this word? It starts with an M.
Mutation!
Mutation, okay, so that's gonna be like a chemical change in the actual gene. It could happen from like exposure to some kind of environmental contaminant. It could happen during transcription, that one of the bases gets substituted and it changes the way the protein is made. There could be all kinds of things that could cause a mutation, but it's like a chemical change in the gene.
Is that why women aren't allowed to have like alcohol in their pregnant?
No, I mean, no, not exactly. That can cause all kinds of
Is it
other
the
illnesses.
chemicals like that?
I mean, like people that might be exposed to, but there are other things like with women that could cause mutation. Like let's say your water supply gets like contaminated because they're making some kind of factory near your house, like things like that can cause mutations that could end up causing cancer or different diseases or issues. Okay. All right, so the other one I want you to know about, so you could be a genetic disease carrier. That means you have the recessive gene, you're heterozygous, you have the recessive gene, you might not even know it, that's called a carrier. So, if it is, if we're looking like this, and it is a non-sex linked disorder. This person's not going to have the disorder. This person's going to be the carrier. This person's going to have the disorder. Okay? All right. Huntington's disease. I wanted to mention that because the book talks about that. That is a genetic disorder that it is not sex linked. It's autosomal. Okay? But it is actually, the disease is dominant. Okay? So it is dominant. And so males and females can get it. It's not a common gene. Most people are all recessive, okay? But if you have the gene for that, you're going to get it. So if you are with Huntington's disease, the only people that don't have Huntington's disease are this. If you have either of these, you have.
And it's very
Huntington's
rare
disease.
that you have
It's very rare,
Yeah.
but it's unusual that it's actually the dominant trait. Okay, and unfortunately, you don't find out you have it till you're like 40, and so you might have already had kids, and then you won't know, if your kids have it. But
Wait.
it is rare, and it basically attacks your neurological system.
Oh
It's
yeah.
called Huntington, so you can read more about Huntington's disease. Okay, all right, the test. Quizlet, that one Quizlet set, okay? And the study guide, okay? Making sure you know how to set up a Punnett square, determine your alleles, okay? Figure out your phenotype, understanding the pedigree chart. But really, if you study anything for the test, I would say study Quizlet, look over your study guide, and make sure that you have the activity from last week and the activity from this week. If you understand those activities and those questions, those kind of questions will be on the test. Okay, activity from this week. All right. The first thing we have is a dihybrid cross, okay? And it uses two traits. If somebody is a roller, and a taster. Roller is dominant, taster is dominant, okay? And so you're gonna set up a dihybrid cross, and then on the second page, you're gonna go to here, okay? And then you can put a line through the bottom. You do not have to do the bottom half of that second page that goes with the tongue. Okay, where it says another dihybrid cross, just mark that out. You just need to do the first page and then the top half of the second page. Is everybody with me? Yes. Okay, then the next thing you have is a pedigree chart for hemophilia. That is a sex-linked disorder where your blood cannot clot, okay? It was rampant in the royal families in England. I don't know if anybody ever watched any of the series on Queen Victoria, but they had, there was hemophilia in their family, okay? And so you have a pedigree chart, and then the next page is questions about that pedigree chart that you can answer based on that chart. So y'all are going to work on this together. You may ask me questions about it for the rest of class. Okay?